So let's talk tonight. We're going to talk tonight about hot flashes. And I'm not hot, although I might get pretty warm. I get warm in this room because of the lights that we have to put on. And so, and I will also, I'm going to tell you not only a remedy for hot flashes, and there are a few of them, but I'm going to talk about only one tonight. But I'm also going to give you a little, a little hint on nutrition with this, because I noted when I was having hot flashes, what happened to me when I was eating or not eating certain things. So first, let me tell you that the remedy is snake venom. For those of you who don't know, it's the Bushmaster, and it's called Lachesis. Some people pronounce it Lachesis. I pronounce it Lachesis. It's Latin. All of our medicines are Latin. I'm taking my information from my materia medica. Should you be interested, you may purchase it through my office. But as I always say, you don't have to buy my materia medica. You can get anyone's materia medica. There are a lot of good ones, and the great masters have written them, and they are wonderful to refer to on a regular basis. And as I've said before, I have many. I think I counted, and I can never remember the number, and I'm not up north. I'm down in our Florida home, and we have a little cottage in Canada, and all my books are up there. Not many of my books, not all my books. As you can see, I do have some here, but in Canada, I have all the other materia medicas. I have only maybe 10 here, 8, something like that. But I think I counted about 34 at one point. They're different authors write different materia medicas. And obviously, and through the centuries, we have a variety of perspectives, because it's if the physician who wrote the materia medica was from Germany in the 1800s, it's going to be some different experiences than if it were a homeopath who was from South America, from Colombia, or from Chicago, or wherever. And so different times, different areas of the globe call for different experiences. And so each author has perhaps a slight taste of his or her, mostly men, but there were a lot of homeopathic physicians who were women, from their own experiences. So I always want to give a little information on materia medica, because I think it's important that you think about that. You should own at least one materia medica. And as I always say, you can go online and look up Dr. James Tyler Kent. It's free online. He wrote that in the 1930s, something like that. He was a physician in Chicago. So he was very classical, but nonetheless, very valuable information. All right, so we're going to talk about Lachesis. Now, this is not the only medicine we think of for hot flashes. We think of sulfur, glenoinum, kelk sulf. There are a number of them, but this one, we're in alphabetical order, so we're going to go with Lachesis, because last time we did lactifluorum. So this time we're going to go to Lachesis. And it's not an uncommon medicine for hot flashes. It's actually a pretty common one. And there are some keynotes that help us determine whether or not this is the medicine for the hot flashes. I'm going to tell you first off that it's not my first choice for hot flashes. I choose usually sulfur, and perhaps glenoinum, but Lachesis is pretty high up there. I would say it's probably second or third choice, but it rises up to first choice when I see that someone wakes into the illness, wakes into the condition, wakes into the hot flashes. Now, it's not uncommon for women to wake into a hot flash. In other words, they're sleeping and they wake up and then they have a hot flash. Now, a lot of times women don't understand that what it means to wake into. They're thinking, I wake up, I'm not hot when I wake up, but then shortly after, I get a hot flash. But experienced hot flashers will tell you that many times before a hot flash, there's a sensation that something is off. Sometimes there's a sense of doom. Sometimes there's a sense of something is wrong. I don't feel well. My heart might be racing. And then bam, there comes the hot flash. So they're assuming that it has to be absolutely immediate within waking. That's not so. You wake up, within a minute or so, if you get a hot flash, that could be an indication for lachesis. So I am going to read this to you from my materia medica. But it's also, I want to mention to you that this is also for women's menstrual issues in general. And it can also parenthetically be used for sore throat and also infections such as boils and abscesses and those kinds of infections. It's also great for cardiac conditions. So when we see a woman who's got hot flashes and her heart is thumping, or she has some sensations, constriction, or something going on in the heart, there's our second keynote. So waking into a hot flash or waking into an aggravation or make it feeling worse on waking. Number 2 is if there are any palpitations or heart conditions that are associated with these hot flashes, or anything for that matter. It doesn't have to be an exact association. Number 3 is a woman who has the need for lachesis would never be able to do this. She would not be able to stand anything around her neck or around her waist. So she would never wear jeans, for example, unless they were elasticized. She wouldn't wear a scarf lower down like this. She would never wear a choker. She would not wear a turtleneck. Now, I don't want to say never, because I'm not going to tell you that lachesis will work only for women who have that sensibility. But if it's there, it's a beautiful thing. I don't want you to eliminate a medicine that I teach you anytime, just because not all the keynotes are present, because we can have just 2 keynotes. We could simply have waking into the heat of a hot flash. We can also have sense of constriction or heart issue around that time in this woman's life. And there's no problem with wearing something tight around the throat. But if there is that, now that's a third keynote, and we're stacking them up. And now we're building a case. And building a case is what we want to do when we choose a medicine, if possible. There is a psychological aspect to this medicine that I rarely see, very rarely. And that is the feeling of the suffering from jealousy. So this is a woman who can be very jealous. If that is also there, by all means, let's choose it. But don't look for the psychological. In classical homeopathy, for those of you who have had any background in it, the way we are trained is to look for something psychological. Ask questions. Are you an artistic person? Do you have jealousy? Do you dream of grabbing someone by the nose? I think it's too much digging. Unless there is something psychological about the suffering of that person. In other words, if she comes to you, or this is you, and you say, oh my gosh, this jealousy, what is wrong with me? I can't stop thinking about my husband's girlfriend 40 years ago. I feel jealous constantly. Now that's a pathology. But if the woman is simply having hot flashes, do we really need to find something psychologically wrong with her? Absolutely not. Let's not make a mountain out of a molehill. Let's not make all of the people that we work with into psychological misfits, because unless it's real, unless someone is truly suffering from jealousy, and that's brought out, perhaps it's not brought out without being prodded. Let's say if you just ask a little bit, how are you feeling emotionally, mentally? Just give me a picture of yourself. Give me an idea of what you're experiencing in life. And that comes out, then, okay, now we've got something. Okay, now we can pin jealousy on this as a keynote for the use of this particular medicine. Now, I just want to go through all of these, and then we'll go into what we can expect. Okay, a person needing lachesis will be very sensitive to any type of restriction, both physically and mentally. She will not tolerate tight clothing around the neck, such as a scarf or a turtleneck, or around the waist, such as a tight belt, nor will she endure being told what to do. If there's an infection, such as a boil, there's often a discoloration of purplish. So not pink, not brown, purple. Okay. But I should have worn purple. I don't think I actually even own anything purple. But that's the color of the infection if it shows up, or of the limb around the infection. Now, the face may have a purplish hue during a fever or an acute illness. Eruptions and discharges may present with this hue as well. It doesn't have to be a screaming purple. It can be just just a hue. All righty. So Lachesis is a wonderful medicine also for, and I love this, asthma. Yes, asthma. So if a woman has hot flashes and she has asthma, this is the medicine. I use it in a 200 potency, and we can also use, let me also separate this a little bit. We can also use Lachesis for asthma on its own, not having to do with hot flashes. Just because I'm discussing hot flashes doesn't necessarily mean that we must have hot flashes in order to use this for asthma. This could stand on its own. But now look at the other keynotes. If someone has asthma and they can't stand to have anything around the neck or tight around the waist, or their heart feels restricted, or they have palpitations, etc., etc. If we stack up these keynotes, these most important aspects of the medicine, and we can see even two big ones, or perhaps four of them, then we know that Lachesis is probably a good choice. So it goes without saying that it's a great medicine for cardiac conditions. Right? I've given it in the 200 potency every other day. I used it for my father. I used it for his angina and arterial sclerosis. It is very specific for those. I've used other medicines for my father's angina, and later on we changed and Lachesis stopped acting for him. We had to move on. But in the beginning, we did use it, and it was very valuable. While it's not the only cardiac medicine I'm reading in my materia medica, in our bag of tricks, it's a wonderful support, especially when there's accompanying breathlessness. So it's a very sweeping medicine. It's a hormonal medicine. It's a cardiac medicine. It's a skin infection medicine. It's a lung medicine. Look at the ability of this gorgeous medicine, Lachesis, spelled Lachesis, and it's in a 200 potency is what I usually use. I know others who have used it in the 6 especially for boils and those kinds of localized infections. I've just always used it in a 200. So I'm going to ask you folks to please, I'm going to look at your questions now. Please share and like this so that we can get this movement really moving. I want a fast moving movement. We have a lot of deterrence to homeopathy, deterrence to finding something other than vaccines, for example. Isn't that the kind of the old way of thinking? Talk about archaic, excuse me, but the old way of thinking that's being pushed on our society so heavily right now. So, how long, if a period in a woman's life is a hot flash stage on average? In other words, how many years does this go on? It goes on until you use the medicines. How's that for a suggestion? It can go on for many years. Some women can go through menopause at 50 and still have an occasional hot flash at 90. But let me tell you what happened to me when I was going through menopause that was really eye-opening. It was something I already knew about, but it was particularly interesting because it was inadvertent. I had no plan for this. I had been drinking hot tea every day, and in it I was putting coconut oil. And it was just a method to make sure I got my saturated fats. And what else was I doing? I was also taking cod liver oil, not fermented, but plain old cod liver oil daily. And I would take my cod liver oil pills, or sometimes I would take it in a spoon in liquid, and I would drink my coconut oil in my hot tea. And it was what I did every day. Then I was about 50, 52, something like that. And we hit a hot summer, and I had no interest in drinking hot tea. And I can't imagine putting coconut oil in cold tea. So I didn't take my coconut oil any longer. And because I got out of the habit of drinking the tea with the coconut oil and taking my cod liver oil at the same time, I just stopped all of them. And I started to experience hot flashes. Now, in spite of the fact that it was hot, I assumed, oh, it's just the hot weather. But then the weather changed because I was living in Buffalo, and Buffalo doesn't stay hot for very long. And the weather changed, and the hot flashes remained. But because the weather changed and it started to get cool again, I reinstated my habit of my hot tea, my coconut oil, and my cod liver oil, and the hot flashes went away. I thought, well, perhaps it's just a coincidence. We always do that, don't we? And so then we had another hot spell. Believe it or not, it was, what we call an Indian summer. It's beautiful hot weather that started up again in September, and I stopped again. I aborted my use of the hot tea, coconut oil, and cod liver oil. And lo and behold, hot flashes returned. So every time I took my drink with the coconut oil, saturated fats, and the cod liver oil, saturated fats, the hot flashes just melted away. When I stopped, they returned. So I never took Lachesis. I never took sulfur. I never took linoinum. I never took any of those medicines. I simply stayed with my saturated fats. And saturated fats have helped me a great deal in my life, I believe. So I still drink, I put a little coconut oil and things here and there, but for the most part, I'm more onto butter, which is what I was taking at that time as well. But it wasn't as concentrated as when I was drinking the tea with the coconut oil. And I eat bacon all the time. I just made popcorn last night, and I made it in bacon fat. If you want to try something absolutely delicious, that's it. I believe that saturated fats, animal fats, and some of the tropical fats are so valuable to our well-being that I will take them daily, eat them daily. I eat a lot of butter. I eat a lot of beef fat. I cook with lard and tallow, etc. So I wanted to pass that on because for those of you who may or may not still be of the ilk thinking that saturated fats are unhealthy, let me assure you that I completely disagree. And if you want to do any more research on that, check out Dr. Weston Price, who's no longer alive. So you can go to the Weston Price Foundation and learn more about that. I have lots of other methods videos that I can post here at some point that are really fabulous, written by or produced by medical doctors, cardiologists, and nutritionists. So my comments are right, justified, and have. Okay, let's just see. Popcorn and bacon fat, you bet, absolutely delicious. And the bacon that I'd made, the fat, that was rendered from the fat that was rendered from the bacon that I'd made happened to be a rather salty bacon, and so the fat had a lot of salt in it. I needed no extra salt. Okay, your comments are showing up. Yes, Mighties, would Lachesis work if having 3 stents and taking aspirin? I do not worry about medical conditions, or not conditions, medical methods using homeopathy along with them. Homeopathy does not interfere with modern medicine. Modern medicine can interfere with homeopathy, but I do not see that homeopathy interferes with modern medicine. So let's put it that way. I'm not telling you that you should or you can, but that's my experience. How long, if a period, okay, got that already. Let's see. My sound is cutting in and out. I hope it isn't for everyone. Your materia medica is super, mom friendly. Yes, not overwhelming. Yes. Thank you, Kathy, for saying that. Thank you. I know it's the pink. Isn't it great? This pink is absolutely fantastic. So much fun to be part of a study group. You bet, Dawn. These study groups are amazing. All right. All right. All right. Now I'm going to go back to, let's see what folks are saying on Facebook. Let's just see. Hi, all the hearts on Facebook. All right. Good to know. I have that sometimes. Okay. Buffalo in 3 weeks. Yep. And that constriction sounds like symptoms of thyroid problem. Yes, it can be, but don't make that assumption. If there is a thyroid problem, then we would use a medicine that's specific for thyroid. But no, it is not necessarily that we can say it is an absolute organ that's causing it. It is just, I just have never liked this. So even as a young girl, and young children and young girls often don't have thyroid problems, it doesn't necessarily have to be. Okay, I gave the potency. Let's see. I struggle with jealousy, and Lachesis is my favorite when I am sick. Good going. Absolutely. And what to expect. I wanted to talk about that. When we use Lachesis or any medicine that has a physical as well as psychological problems, you're going to see the psychological problems melt. You'll see that jealousy come right down. All right. We have stopped. Facebook Live has stopped us, so we're going to keep going as though it has not. If there is only the symptoms of never ever wanting something around the neck or waist, would you look at Lachesis? Or hot flashes, no jealousy? I would not use Lachesis just because you don't like the sensations around your neck. That's not a pathology. Perry, I just want to tell you, I think you were having trouble with the internet, or Facebook has shut us down. I'm not sure. Yep. Yeah, it could have been what I... Yep. Okay. Yep. I know mighties are still here. Great. I've tried sepia and sulfur to no avail, but Lachesis helps me a heap, says Juanita. But after I use this dosage about 3 times in a couple of days, it's gone for a couple of months before I need it again. Exactly. That's the way I want you to do this, ladies. That's the way I want you to learn this. Use it until you don't need it. Then when you need it again, you resume the medicine. It's a beautiful thing. Lovely. All right. How about hormonal night sweats? Hormonal night sweats are hot flashes. Okie doke. I use Lachesis for my daughter when she had COVID for her feeling of slight breathlessness chest. Yes, it can also be for that as well. Absolutely. Thank you, Sepia 200. Help with my hot flashes. This is great too. Yes, Sepia is also good. How frequently we dose? We use it twice daily until you see a good deal of improvement, and that can happen within a couple of days. And then once it's done, then you stop. If you need it again a month later or 3 weeks later, you start it up again. So I don't urge people to use this method or this medicine for many, many, many weeks unless they absolutely need to. It's also great if I have too much caffeine. My hands get jittery. Okay, this is going so fast. I'm having a hard time reading. I'll try both Lachesis and sepia for menopause and hot flashes, and neither were good for me. I like Carbo-Veg and Morbillinum, I think she said, or maybe it was Metarinum. It went by too fast. Okay, how much coconut oil and cod liver oil? Oh, God, I don't know if you want to do what I did. I think I used a tablespoon of coconut oil. It was heavy duty. I don't know that you need to do that much. You could just use a little bit. And cod liver oil, I just followed the directions on the bottle. I like Rosita cod liver oil. That's one of my favorites, but there are many others that are good too. And I just follow the directions on the bottle. Here we go. Had hot flashes at 41, says Mary Ruth, and I took cod liver oil every time, and they went away for me too. Yes, ladies. So was it the cod liver oil or was it the coconut oil? I think they're both good. You bet. Good fats are awesome. You bet they are. My blood type is A, which you can probably guess because I eat a lot of meat. Saturated fats changed my health as well. Hey, are we waiting to get into a study group Zoom meeting? Hi, Michelle. You're going to be meeting. I don't know if you're in this next group. Hi from North Carolina. What potency? I already said that. I want to make sure I've covered most of the questions. What in the case of a moody and angry teen experience ovarian cyst? It's not generally Lachesis, and I will tell you that I cover that. I'm sorry to always be reverting you back to courses, but my course Feminopathy covers that. Love the formula on Weston Price for babies. That's Boo who said that. Lachesis every other day. But to be honest, a few days in the beginning, I took it twice a day. Yes, I've done it both ways. I've used it twice a day and I've used it once every other day. I think I've mentioned it both. You know, there's more than one way to skin a cat. So I've done it both ways. All righty. No, I cannot run over. Let's see if we've covered. How can I order your homeopathy, as Australia have restrictions about all homeopathic products? I don't sell homeopathic products, but if you contact my office, we send to Australia frequently, or we don't send. The pharmacy that we work with, who we like very much, sends to Australia. But also check, and maybe you've done this already, Helios in England. Yes, I know the internet went down. Yeah, it went down for everyone. Okay. All righty. Let's just see. Would Lachesis work for occasional heart palpitations? It could. But you know what you want to check for occasional heart palpitations? What did you just eat? Check out whether or not did you just have a lot of coffee, or even 1 cup or 2 cups? Did you have chocolate? Always look at, what did I do? What was extrinsic that I could have had some effect on, or how I could have affected myself? All right. My comments are right. Okay, here we go. Bacon fat. All right, I do have to dash off, folks. Love it. You can stay on. At least I know my mighties can stay on. I have to dash off. I am meeting with a study group now, and I will see you next week. God bless all of you. Mwah! Love you. Stay mighty.